When you sit down to a meal or snack, are you eating guilt and shame, fear and worry? Are you sitting down to that meal feeling stressed out and overwhelmed, feeling like you should or you shouldn't be eating what you're eating? Well, stress eating includes how we feel about what we're eating. And if we've had lots of food rules in our life or been on any kind of diet, we may have accumulated a lot of do's and don'ts about what to put in our body. And so when we sit down at the meal and we have all this anxiety and stress about the food that we're taking into our body, we're actually not allowing our body to get the nutrients from the food. Because when we're stressed and we're eating, actually all the nutrients from the food move right through our system and come out in our urine. We could be eating a very nourishing meal and not being nourished by it. And so we're still hungry because we haven't fed our body what it truly needs. In today's video, I'm going to offer you a powerful technique that's going to help you to sit down at a meal or a snack and take the emotional charge away from what you're eating so that you can eat it in a more relaxed way and therefore get more nourishment and more pleasure from the food, making peace with food, which will allow your body to metabolize it and be nourished, and you will be satisfied and not have to keep on eating. One of the most damaging things about the diet mentality is we've created all these food rules. When we sit down to eat something, and if it's something that we feel like we shouldn't be eating, we're actually eating guilt and shame. And the thoughts we think create the stress that we have in our body. So again, if you're eating even the most nutritious food, if you're feeling rushed or anxious or that you should be eating something else or the food is not clean enough, you're not giving your body true nourishment. Eating a meal is not only taking in the food, but it's allowing yourself to feel the pleasure and the satisfaction of the food to really nourish your body, your mind, and your spirit. If you are new to tapping, there'll be a link below that will tell you more about tapping. But in today's video, we're going to use emotional freedom techniques, tapping, to create a more relaxed environment around food. So if you are not relaxed when you eat your meal, or you're eating something that feels stressful or anxiety-ridden, then this video is for you. So it could be a typical meal, even a nourishing meal, or maybe there are certain foods that you feel really anxious about and are afraid to eat them. I was afraid of many foods in my lifetime because I participated in a lot of diets and had brainwashed myself into feeling like certain foods were bad and certain foods were not so good. And of course, the more preservatives in a food, the lower the vibration of the food, it's not as life-enhancing for your body. However, again, the environment that you eat the food in, the emotional environment that you eat the food in, will actually affect how your body's nourished, more so than the actual food that you're eating. So this is a great practice to do in general or specific. Before you sit down to eat something, maybe it's a delicious meal somebody prepared for you or a delicious meal that you are preparing for yourself. Just look over the ingredients of that meal and notice how you feel about it. Are you excited about it? Do you feel like, yummy, I'm really craving it? Or maybe you're craving it and you feel excited about it, but you feel guilty, like, ooh, I shouldn't really be eating these French fries, even though I'm excited and looking forward to eating it. I've been told that French fries are not good for my body, or whatever it is. You feel so much anxiety about the food, you're better off not eating the food. But if you want to neutralize it, make friends with that food, then this practice will be for you. So look over the meal, and you can do this, bring this video with you when you're sitting down to a meal. It's great to practice this when you're by yourself, so you're uninhibited and you don't have to be around other people. And just look at the meal and decide what it is that you are excited about. Are you eating things that give you pleasure? Are you enjoying the food that you're eating? That's an important piece of this. Don't force yourself to eat things you don't like. Yes, you can acquire a taste for certain things that might be more life-enhancing, but you want to enjoy your meal. You want to get pleasure from your meal. It's an important ingredient in the eating experience. If you want something and you feel excited about it, but you feel guilty about it, or you feel like you shouldn't eat it, then we're going to do some tapping on those foods. So just look at the meal, look at the plate, sit down, relax your body, take a deep breath in, and then let it out. And then notice how you're feeling about the food that's in front of you. And again, if you're feeling excited about it and there's no limitations, there's no worries or fears, then go ahead and enjoy the meal. You can even acknowledge the food, acknowledge that it is blessing your body, it's nourishing your body. I like to say everything I eat nourishes my body. It keeps me vital, it keeps me healthy, it keeps me slim. Great intention before you're eating a meal. But if you're looking at something on that plate that is making you feel a little guilty or anxious or fearful, you want to neutralize that. So look at whatever it is that you have in front of you that doesn't feel good, doesn't feel exciting, and let's start tapping. I want you to look at that food, take a deep breath in and let it go, and just notice the worries and the fears. Maybe the stories you've been told about those foods. Maybe when you went on your first diet or your last diet, they told you that this food was not good for you, or this food is going to make you fat. Just notice what you've been taught about that food. Is it true? Is it something that somebody taught you? Is it something that maybe is true for someone else, but does it have to be true for you? You get to choose. You get to make food your friend. So just notice the feelings and the thoughts that come up around that food. Maybe it's a food that is typically known as a food that's not life-enhancing, or doesn't really support weight loss if that's what you want to do. I know people today are afraid of carbs, and they're afraid of too many fats, and they're afraid of, I mean, there's so many different rules about food. And at any given time, you can see people that are making one kind of food the villain and another kind of food the good food. And I know that I've been around long enough to see so many changes in that. There was a time when one kind of food plan was the best thing, and then some of those food plans today are recognized as the worst thing for you. Ultimately, you want to find what works best for you and your body. So just notice the food and notice how you feel about it. Maybe it's mashed potatoes or some kind of grain that somebody told you you're not supposed to be eating. Notice the feelings that come up for you. You want to release all the negative charge, all the fear, all the worry, all the guilt that comes up, and you're just tapping and breathing and noticing how you feel about the food. Ultimately, you want to ingest food that you feel good about and that you love, because if you love the food is going to love you. So just tapping through the round. Take a deep breath in and let it go, and looking at the plate of food, or you can envision a plate of food that you think is really delicious, but you have too many food rules and you cannot eat it in peace. Because the objective here is to release the emotional charge, to release the limiting beliefs, the false premises that you have developed around food, and neutralize the emotion. You get to choose whether or not you want to eat it at any given time, but choosing it from a place of peace rather than anxiety, rather than fear and worry, is what you want. So looking at the foods, noticing those foods that feel off limits to you, and even though there's a part of you that feels excited about eating it, also feels worried and afraid to eat it. Notice the beliefs that you've been taught. Have you ever considered making friends with food? Maybe you have this belief that if you eat this certain something, you will gain weight. You want to allow yourself to make a choice about the foods you put into your body. Take in foods that you feel good about. When you love the food will love you. And when you're feeding yourself with love, it's going to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. You want to release any guilt, any fear, any worry. Just let it go. Notice it, acknowledge it, and let it go. Release and let go of all the fears and worries around this food. Let it go. It's safe to let it go. You don't have to hold on to that fear. Your body has the natural ability to align with your health and fitness goals. You release all the fears and the worries and the stress. You can truly take in the nourishment from the food, satisfy your body, enjoy the pleasure of eating, and then get on with your life. Wouldn't it be nice if food were my friend? I'd like to make friends with food, all foods. I'd like to choose the foods I eat out of an excitement. Release the anxiety, the fears, and the worry. Wouldn't it be nice to truly love my food? And as I love the food that I choose to put into my body, I know that the food will love me. It will nourish all the cells of my body. It will allow my body to regenerate. It will energize me. It will satisfy me. And as I do this more and more, my body will tell me when it's had enough. And I can let it go and get on with the rest of my life. I can feed and nourish my body with satisfaction and pleasure, and then move on to other areas of my life with satisfaction and pleasure. Wouldn't it be nice to make friends with food, to love the food as the food loves me? To release the emotional charge I have around eating certain foods. I'm so grateful and appreciative that I'm changing my perspective around food, that I'm making friends with food, that I'm releasing the fears, the worry, the guilt, the shame, and anxiety, so that I can eat in peace. And as I eat in peace, I know that my body will be truly nourished. And as I'm truly nourished, I will be satisfied, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And when I've satisfied my need for nourishment, physical nourishment, I can then satisfy my need for emotional and spiritual nourishment. I choose to love, honor, and respect myself and my body, make peace with food, enjoy the experience, and be grateful to take in the love. Just tune into your breath and tune into your body and notice how you're feeling when you think about that food, that plate before you or that plate in your mind's eye. And notice if any other thoughts or feelings or emotions come up. You want to keep tapping and breathing until you can neutralize the emotional charge of the food. Coming back to the collarbone, breathing in and letting go. If this still feels like there's an emotional charge, a negative emotional charge when you think about the food, then you're best off not eating it right now. Once you can neutralize the food, once you can make friends with the food, whatever food it is, and eat it in an environment of peace and love, knowing that it's nourishing you, then that's the optimal way to eat the food. So start with the foods that don't feel so challenging. And as you do that, you can expand it into foods that maybe you've been told are off limits to you. Let's put food back in its proper place. As you make peace with food and you love the food that you're taking into your body, releasing the guilt, the shame, the fear, you will truly nourish yourself, body, mind, and spirit. And when you value yourself, you want to nourish yourself in the most optimal way. You can bring your hands to your heart and take a deep breath in and let it go. And just notice how that felt and how you're feeling right now. And this may have triggered lots of thoughts. You can go ahead and journal, write them down, get some clarity about the beliefs, the limiting beliefs that you've learned about certain foods, the fears and the worries. You want to make peace with your relationship with food. You have the power to make choices about how to feed yourself. When we're eating out of anxiety, fear, worry, guilt, it's not empowering. Come from a place of peace. Make choices that are most in alignment with your highest good and neutralize the emotional charge you have around certain foods. Food is there to nourish us. Food is there to share in community. And the way to heal your relationship with food is to take back your power, release the anxieties, release the stress around eating, and then you can come from a place of choice. So use this exercise as often as needed. You can use it even when you're not eating a meal, but envisioning a meal you'd like to have and releasing the angst around it. Because once you start eating in an environment of love and nurturance, most foods, even those foods that we typically think are not so good for us, can really work well in your body. When we take the emotional charge away from what we're craving, the body has a wisdom of its own. And in order to create homeostasis, the body will crave certain foods. So maybe if you're craving oily things, it might be as a result of being too stressed, but it also might be a result that your body needs some more fats. Or if you're craving certain foods that you have off limits, it might be that there's some macronutrients or some micronutrients in that food that your body needs. So a way to be more intuitive about how you feed your body is to neutralize the emotional charge you have around food. Use this practice. You can heal your relationship with food. You can eat in peace, and you can allow your body to release all the struggle, all the pain. And if you have health and fitness goals that you like to achieve, this is the way to go. It's an easy, natural way to go. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you want some more assistance in healing your relationship with food, weight, and body image, go ahead and book a free consultation with me, and we can talk about how I may potentially help you. Until next time, As always, keep on taking good care of yourself. Bye now.